welcome back to the Black Robe Podcast. It's your girl, Anjanae Slaughter, here with my lovely co-host, Miss Carol Mitchell. So good to see you, Carol. How are you?
You too. Happy holy days.
Happy holy days. What is that?
That's what I say. Instead of holidays, I say happy holy days. Whatever holy days you celebrate, I hope they're happy and you're not killing nobody, your relatives, and carrying on.
I love that. Another saying from Auntie Carol.
Yeah, because people have all sorts of faith traditions and beliefs, and we're going to talk a little bit tonight about some faith traditions and beliefs that might not be widely known about. So we're just going to say happy holy days, however you celebrate them.
Sounds good to me. Well, I'm really excited for today's podcast, and I hope all of you guys watching at home are super excited to hear what we have in store. It's been a while since we had a Crystal Stair story, so I don't know if that's why I'm so excited or if it's because of the topic, like you just mentioned, something slightly unfamiliar to a lot of people, right? And maybe a little controversial at the same time. So Carol, if you're down, let's just jump right in and bring on our guest. Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. Mr. George Hoyt, are you there? Hi, George. I think you might be on mute, so go ahead and unmute yourself if you can.
Hello? Hello.
Perfect. Awesome. We can hear you, George. Thank you so much.
Hey.
And welcome to the Black Robe Podcast. We have
Thank
viewers.
you.
Thank you. We have viewers listening right now. So let's get started and just tell them a little bit about yourself.
Me, I'm from, I was born here. My mother's from Trinidad. My mother's name is Anastasia A Armourer. My mom came to America in like 1972. She was student body president at TCC in 1978, known as the Duchess. She started the African clothing line when I was in high school called African Odyssey. She was a singer. She made two records, one called Weep Atlanta off of the lynchings that was going on at the time in the early 80s in Atlanta, and All I Need Is You, a country song that she does. She was also a sculptor, an author, a painter. And she had me. I was born here in Tacoma. I'm 47 years old now. Basically all my skills as far as talents and music derived from my talented creative mother. That's about the long and short of me.
Yeah, she was quite the I would say she was an amazingly artistic talent, maybe not
Oh yes.
As widely known as she deserved to be. Her work certainly was at the caliber of a much more well-known artist.
Yeah, she was way before her time, not only with her talents and her creativity, but the topic she basically chose with she was proud of her heritage, but she really loved God. I mean, I don't know anybody today that loved the Lord as much as my mother, but at the same time, she was proud of her heritage. Mm-hmm. And so she hung on to that, her Orishas, her spirituality. She was a master herbalist. She held on to her heritage and her culture and her faith. So and she got a lot of flack for that from some places. Some people didn't understand that. Some people didn't understand her. But I mean, I think she was a very strong woman. She was a very strong woman, and she was very much ahead of her time. And I believe, she may not had been appreciated in her time, but I mean, as time moves forward, I think more and more people is going to come around and see it for the artistic talent that she actually is and was.
What is an Obeah Woman? That's the name of her book. and it's full of her illustrations. So what would Anastasia tell us about the Obeah Woman?
Well, I mean, if I go by the story Mother Dora in her book, the Obeah Woman was basically the woman that she was like the second mother to everybody in the community, particularly in there in Trinidad, like the village situation it is. If you had a problem, you wouldn't go see the Obeah Woman, whether it was something to be fixed herbally, fixed psychically, fixed spiritually, or just some good old advice. She was basically your second mother, that someone you could that would listen to you, ear for a shoulder for you to cry on. She was basically the mother of the community, and that's where my mother got the character Mother Dora in her book Obeah Woman. As far as, you know, basically she's going around helping most of the people in the community. The story gets more complex than that, of course, but that's the gist of the Obeah Woman. She was basically the woman that you'd come to whenever you had a problem that, you know, couldn't be solved.
Yeah, there's an element of Toni Morrison's Beloved and Alice Walker and Mama Day, you know, all of those characters from these other prolific African-American women writers. Obeah Woman is right in there with Mama Day and Beloved, my opinion, having read all those books.
Yeah.
We're gonna buy, the IBJ is going to buy some copies of your mother's book. It is available on Amazon, and we're gonna make those available throughout the holy days for people who maybe for the first 25 people that send us a message on our Facebook page, we'll send you a copy of the book. How's that sound?
That would be great, especially during this Kwanzaa season. That's what's up. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you for continuing to tell your mother's story, even after life, right? I mean, this is legacy. This is something that, right? I mean, this is why for me in my own personal life, right? I want to make impact on individuals so that someone maybe that loves me, maybe my children, or I don't have any kids now, but in the future, right, will share my story like you are. What's your hope, George, with continuing to share your mother's story?
Well, basically the thing that she hopes for, and it's the introduction of the Orishas, particularly to our people. And my mother kind of believed that there was a definite miseducation when it came to who we are and who these Orishas are. And I mean, most of our people shunned away from this type. They'd see our paintings and be scared of it, you know, just off the basis of, okay, they're Black spiritual beings, and what is this? And this is kind of weird, and maybe this is some kind of thing to do with hell or whatever. It's been so demonized, and that characteristic that of our culture that's been missing from our people is something she believed needed to be restored. And I think later on in life, somewhere she will be known basically as somebody who actually did a good thing by restoring and making these Orishas known to the public.
Yeah, George, you were kind enough to allow me to come to your home and see the incredible work that your mother, at least part of it, that she accumulated over time. And I had the privilege of picking my two favorite pieces, which are now prominently displayed in my office upstairs. And I love them. I love them.
Great. Yes.
Let's talk
about,
well, I'm glad that you felt, you know, led by spirit to share those and to gift those. But let's talk about the Orishas. What is an Orisha? And then let's talk about one of the Orishas that I brought home with me, Yemaya. Okay. So tell people a little bit about that, and why is it so so much of a controversy for a person who is a Christian to also then still have the Orishas as prominent in their world?
Well, okay, I must let you know that my knowledge is nowhere on the level that my mother was, but I will do my best to try to live up to what she did in her work as far as what I learned from her. Now, the Orishas are like spiritual forces that were brought forth first by the first Orisha, Eligwa, and he's the opener of the crossroads where all the Orishas come through from between the spiritual realm and the physical world. Your Orisha, Yemaya, is the Orisha of the ocean and motherhood. A lot of people kind of shy away from the whole idea of the actual Orishas because, I mean, for quite frankly, all our time in America, it's been beaten out of us. It was basically vilified. It's vilified in all kinds of propaganda, society as backwards, voodoo, zombie, this and all this. And a lot of people are just quite frankly scared of something that's naturally them. And that's kind of necessary that the world kind of preys upon that kind of what would I call it? I don't want to say a weakness, but it's a condition right now that a lot of people kind of like to see our people in because they're easily more able to take advantage of us if we don't know exactly who and what we are.
Well, I can recall in my studies of world religion that, practices, faiths, belief systems like Vodun and Santeria and the Orishas, for example, when the Catholic priests, missionaries went to some of these West African and South American nations, they attached patron saints, Saint Martin, for example, to an Orisha. And that's how they were able to transition the belief system in, more animism belief systems into Catholicism. That's how they were able to integrate it because they
synchronized it. They synchronized it, and it also keeps the slaves safe at the same token while doing this. Because if they prayed to Santa Barbara, and it looked like it's Santa Barbara, and they're actually praying to Shango, the slave master wouldn't know that they're actually worshiping Shango or worshiping Eligwa, or worshiping Ogun and all this by basically hiding them in the saints or synchronizing them with the saints at the same time. So yeah, they were free to worship in that way, shape, or form. If you look at the picture called the Seven African Powers, which is one of the first things I looked up when the internet first came out, I was wondering, okay, well, what do African gods look like? And the Seven African Powers came up, and it was basically these seven saints, white saints, European saints around Christ or whatever, as the Seven African Powers. But they're actually the Orishas, Ogun, Eligwa, Shango, and that's actually represented except by those particular European saints, which it was safe at the time to worship safely at that time.
Well, and African people are not a monolith. And there were belief systems that pre-existed the coming of missionaries. Before Christianity, before Islam, there was a set of beliefs and practices that sustained West African people. And there are remnants of those still practiced.
Some people feel threatened, though, especially with our history kinds of panic certain people when it comes to who we are and what we have achieved. There's a reason you could possibly go through a whole college career and never hear of the Moors of Spain. You feel me? There's a reason why, most of the times these things like the Orishas are never brought up either in school or even any type of churches or any type of where like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason to keep these things hidden from the status quo in the public at this time. You feel me? So I believe my mother was very groundbreaking in creating these things in her books and her portraits.
I would agree, George. And, if we look back at history, we know that this country assimilated people. We can look back at how they, the terrible thing that they did to the Native Americans, making them cut their hair and stop speaking their own native language, right? They did the same to us in slavery, right? I mean, we could not even, we couldn't even learn how to read and write, right? That was illegal in order to, so how are we gonna, and of course, sharing any stories. And this is we even remembered them when we made it through the traumatic transatlantic, travel, the trip that we endured, right? I mean, if we didn't jump off coming over, I mean, there's so many reasons to defend or explain the reason why a lot of people, especially a lot of African American people, do not know about this, African spirituality, right? It is really what it is. But that doesn't mean that it's not real. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have value, it doesn't have power. It is our culture, right? Going back to history, if we think about the Haitian Revolution and why they were looked at as so powerful, was because they used their spirit and they, broke the shackles. I mean, that's why they were so there's a lot of reasons to believe or reasons why, some supremacist colonizer wouldn't want this valuable information to make it all the way, not only to the States, but to Seattle. Can you imagine? I mean, migration patterns, the Black people that live in Seattle, okay, they're not getting the same richness and culture as the Black people that are in Atlanta, the same Black people that are, in New Orleans,
Carolinas.
Okay? The Carolinas, right? We're not getting that. So, George, again, thank you for bringing this to our platform today to continue to share this story, because it is our culture. And if we think about religion, every religion is based in culture. It's based in someone's culture, right? We look at Hindu religion, right? We look at Buddhism. It's based in Chinese culture, right? We look at Muslim, right? Islam, right? It's all based in culture. Why is it that Black people don't have a religion? Or do we, and we just don't know about it?
We do and don't know about it.
Exactly.
But and it's good that you brought up the Haitian Revolution, because my mother would call that an example of true spiritual warfare using the Orishas or the Loas. And in the book, the Obeah Woman, she wrote, there's an actual ritual that kind of mimics the one Bookman supposedly did at the beginning of the ritual, sacrifice of a black pig to the god of war Ogun, that takes place, that she actually put in the ritual in the book before a battle Mother and Dora does, going up against the demon Samuel the Black, somewhere in the book. So check that part out. You might find it interesting.
I plan to.
George, this is a rich, just the conversation we've had here tonight, that just is the tip of the iceberg of what people will find in your mother's book, Obeah Woman. It's on Amazon. IBJ is going to buy 25 copies, and the first 25 people that send us a message on our Facebook page asking for a copy, you find a way to direct message us. I think you can. We'll figure it out so that we can get your address to send it to you. But we're going to order some copies of the book. We want to make sure also, George, that people know where they can find more information about your mom's work. We found some interesting interviews that you did with her before she passed away on YouTube.
Yes. They're on my YouTube channel. Serve notice at youtube.com. You can find me interviewing my mother, Anastasia A Armourer, the Obeah Woman. You could also find my mother's music, her song "Weep Atlanta," and her song "All I Need Is You," and the songs we've done together. Me and my mother, Blood Oath, honoring Michelle Bucray, a fine black teacher from the Urban League down here, and other songs we've done together and other videos that's on YouTube off the Serve Notice channel. So if you just go there, and she also has a Facebook page, The Obeah Woman by Anastasia A Armourer. You could check out some of her articles when she was student body president, when she was printed in the Challenge newspaper at TCC as the Duchess, and all her work. She also has some work that's I'm going through, and we were going through before she passed. We were working on the Obeah Woman too. We were coming up with a tremendous outline for it. Admittedly, now that she's passed, if it does come out, I'm going to have to possibly write most of it around her notes and her outlines. But there's other works that she has done that I might put out some of her stuff posthumously. But the future, only time will tell. We'll see. But thank you.
You're welcome. And where can people buy her art? How is that going to work?
Well, yeah, they'd have to get in contact with me somehow, just like because the arts are original works that's here. But if they get in contact with me through Facebook somehow, or even just call this show or whatever, or find a way to contact me on Facebook. And if it sounds like something you're really interested, we could work a deal with. And yeah, her art is for sale. So yeah, I'll still be putting those up. Thank you. She was a beautiful woman.
Yes, she was. So Anjanae's going to close us out here because personally, I can't wait to dive into the book. First, I got to order it and then dive into the book. But you were kind enough to post some excerpts from the book on your post on Facebook, and I fell in love with those excerpts. So I can hardly wait to actually get the whole book. So thank you, Joy, for being with us tonight.
Yes. Thank you so much, and thank you for having us, and thank you for having my mom to honor her on this show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Thank you so much, George. And thank you everyone that was watching at home. If anything in this conversation intrigued you or, got one of your eyebrows to raise, continue to stay engaged, right? Go on Amazon or inbox IBJ to get that free book for the holy days, as Miss Carol would say it. And then also, if you're just unsure, you don't know, do a little bit more research, right? And the facts are all in the pudding. Everything is out there. So thank you again, you guys, for listening. We will be back next week for another story here on the Black Girl Podcast. On that note, you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.